your path to awakening, enlightenment and beyond can be very specific, very measurable, and actually quite fast if you apply these three aspects, as well as the fourth foundational function of what it is you are a human being. So you can come to this place of awakening, indeed, enlightenment, which is defined here as phase 3 abiding presence, in a relatively quick time. And I say it throughout this website, 5 years or less. So let's get into the overview of how this works. While we have a fifth aspect, which is a koala, who's about 10 meters above me, that's dropping poop on me. Mother Earth always chimes in with my videos, eh? You'll see that with the cockatoos and stuff. That's why they're in this website. So, the first aspect is, what do you want and what are you doing about it? Because it's really important you define what it is you're actually after. Are you after avoidance of pain? Are you actually after true enlightenment, which is totally doable when you know how to do it? Right? So what do you want? How far do you want to go? And this is a serious question. And to define it clearly, because I've just had a whopping learning recently that I've spent 50 years chasing the wrong thing, although I've ended up here where I am. So defining it, and then doing what counts to get there. And that's what this website, the courses and the coaching is all about. The second aspect is the structure of consciousness. How are you made up? How do you align yourself so you do hold your body, your humanness, your ego that everybody seems to hate and put down, and all your spiritual aspects so they're here with you in life? You can have God with you blazing in the corporate office where you're being bullied. This is totally doable because I've spent a number of years doing that, right? Evidence, which is the third aspect, is evidence. So what is it that proves to you that all the spiritual stuff, that you are actually there, that it's actually real? Because these three things make a feedback loop so you can progress. While the koala chimes in, right? Let's get your shift sorted. That's what the koala's telling me. So the third aspect is evidence, right? This is processed eucalypt leaves from a koala right now. Gotta love it. The videos in this website, a lot of them do have animals, particularly the crazy parrots, the masters of chaos, because they just act out what's happening. They go with the flow, and it's remarkable what happens in these videos in this website and YouTube channel. It really is. So, distractions aside, what do you want? Because in this website I say within 5 years you can easily get yourself to what I call phase 3 in the awakening journey, abiding presence. Right? If that's what you're after, this is doable. Doesn't take decades, doesn't take lifetimes, because it's specific. With the structure of who you are as a human being, the structure of correct presence practice, the structure of who you are as a human being with your DNA, your body, your emotional body, your mental body, your higher self body, all your spiritual stuff. When you align that, it has outcomes. The evidence. And that evidence can be measured in terms of how often, how frequently, and how deeply. What is the thing that makes all of this possible? Because at the moment they're just three separate things. What joins them is your volitional attention, your conscious mind, your focus. And that grows as you learn to practice correctly, so you install the right habit. Because we are but habit machines, as are koalas, as are trees, as is grass, as is any pet you have, and also the chaos masters that are in this website and my other websites, the parrots. So when you pull these together, you can then proceed towards what it is you want in a way that you know you're doing it correctly because everything's aligned, and you can measure it through the outcomes in your life. It's not about books, it's not about what I say, it's not about what other teachers say, it's not about theory, it's about actual evidence, because that's what it's about, eh? It's about living in that place of connectedness. So you're here when things are good and when things are truly, truly crap. You can still be connected with the divine, experiencing at least the peace, if not even joy and happiness, while you feel truly terrible, you're experiencing horrendous pain, or you've had some massive life event, you know, career changes, relationship changes, people passing on, and all the rest. Thank you, koala. Okay? This is where it's at. So in this website, there'll be a whole lot of videos, and then there's the courses to really get into the nitty-gritty, and all of the videos and courses are practice sessions where we activate your correct presence practice. So at the moment, we have the Trinity. What do you want? What you're doing about it? The structure of you as a human, what you do with your ego, your spiritual anatomy, and the whole structure, so everything is aligned, so you are connected from your little toe up to the divine. Step 4, the nothingness, the everythingness, and I quite often call it the divine yum yum, right? Because it's pretty yummy, right? And then there's the evidence, which you'll experience and you will know, and that's your feedback process. You know, what causes it to be lost? What do you do to get it back? When is it here? When is it not? Right? It builds. And over time that becomes consistent. So that's why I define enlightenment here as phase 3, abiding presence, because that's when your presence practice, 1, works properly, 2, is consistently abiding. It's where you're living. These are phrases that Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ajishanti use. So it's got quite a specific meaning. And there are 6 pages on the awakening phases, so you can get an idea of what's required. And while the different phases, the different levels are sort of sometimes hard to discuss, what is actually very, very clear is the actual evidence of each phase. That cannot be waffled away unless you're in denial. And we get into that with the structure, what I call law 0, self-honesty, self-responsibility. Okay. So when you know what you're wanting and that you're going to do something about it, you understand what's required so you can do it correctly, you can monitor it, you can have the feedback process, then you will have the evidence. You will experience it in your body and all your other bodies, your non-dimensional bodies, right? This becomes very clear, and then life will test you to see what it takes to pull you away. We had a global one for, well, it's still happening, for over 2 years. It's called a pandemic, and now we've got another one happening, which is, you know, a proxy World War III, right? It's having impacts. How are you responding? There's the evidence for you. You can go back and recollect what you've been up to over the last 2 years and how connected were you, you know, whatever your level is. It's raining koala pee now. Classic. intermittent showers via a koala. Right? So what this framework does with this website, and also studentsuccesstutor.com, where I teach students to do well at school, i.e. teach them these core life skills, and this is what this is, This is all about being a human being. It includes your ego. It does. It has to. Because your ego, let's define the ego, right? Forget what everybody else says, apart from Carl Jung, because like this is his one. I'm using his, or I've changed it to suit this process. It's your boundary device of where you start and stop. So koala is outside of me, right? Although it's been dropping presents at us. Get it? Presents at us. The externals are out here, right? I'm not the koala. I am Jason. So my consciousness device here, my consciousness boundaries, are such that when I go into presence and into step 4 of the divine, incorrect presence practice, I'm aware of that. My beingness includes everything and the nothing. And you learn to hold that in your neurology, in your unconscious mind. Your ego gets actually quite used to it and really likes it, especially when crap's going down. It becomes the safety place, and your ego is required, and there's pages and videos here on that. So that kills the internal war. This is the journey. It's an interesting journey. It's a testing journey, because you will be tested for the evidence. And this is all just, standard spiritual theory, isn't it? You will be tested. Are you passing the tests? These 3 aspects apply not just to your spiritual practice and what you want as a person, what you want as life outcomes. It applies to study. It applies to the learning process. And that's actually how I got here. What did I want? What did I want to do about it? I wanted better grades. So I taught myself how to meditate and get photographic memory, which worked. I had a 15% grade jump, evidence, because I learnt the structure of how the mind and the memory systems worked, and I applied it at my university, and I got ridiculed for it because I was the first person doing it. But my grades jumped 15%, which got me into postgrad, all the way through to a PhD, which I didn't finish. Right? It applies to study. Also at my other website is I teach all of the same stuff with 0 spiritual words, because I'm playing with wild animals. One of these licked me the other night. She did. I've never had that happen before. It was quite a surprising experience, because they got quite nasty front teeth, the old koala. You a little girl. You're not Mr. Mighty, that's for sure. Oh, you got a smooth little head. Hey? It strolled up to me when I was sitting by the fire. Oh. What are you sniffing me for? You like the taste? I've never had one do that to me. What are you doing? So what does that say? What does enlightenment have to do with passing your tests? That has to do with having a koala lick you and hanging out with wild cockatoos that can make you bleed instantly. It's the structure. It's the structure of who you are as a human. It's the structure of who you are as an aspect of consciousness of the divine, of this planet, of humanity, of your society, just as that koala is up there. Understand the structure, then apply it, because you want it, right? Then you'll get the evidence. So the evidence is all through this website. especially when it comes to the animals, the birds, etc. Watch it. The evidence is blatant because they won't be around me otherwise. This is the thing, eh? And after this overview, we'll get into things like the 9-pillar framework, which is the foundational structure of how to apply this stuff. Where pillar 9 is common sense. So it does apply to study, does apply to animal whispering, does apply to being connected to God while you're having a pandemic, while you're losing your job, while you're having arguments, when you crash your car. It's all possible. This website tells you how. The coaching will help you, and the courses will define it for you, where each one is a practice session to install the correct habit. We are but habit machines. And what I say in this website is quite unique. It is aligned with Eckhart Tolle and especially Adyashanti. So watch the videos. You might need to rewatch them because it is quite a big stretch. It takes a while to get it. So the binding thing that binds ingredient 1 of what do you want, what you're doing about it. Ingredient 2, the structure of consciousness, the structure of your spiritual practice, the structure of aligning yourself from your DNA, your cells, through all your human stuff, your emotional stuff, your mental stuff, your ego stuff, and your esoteric bodies, your esoteric structures, all of that unseeable stuff that's very hard to define because it's not 3D, is it? Up to your soul and beyond. When you understand these structures, you can then align them with your volitional attention. So you're holding it in your body, in your neurology, and you can get nuanced and sensitive to the outcomes, which is your evidence. And as you install the correct habit through your human mechanism, your unconscious mind, through your heart, which is like a 5-year-old. And the first brain to form in the body is the 40,000 brain cells in here, eh? Before any brain cells start forming up here. The heart brain, the 5-year-old brain, the gateway to lower your personal stuff, your you, solar plexus is the 3rd brain, is the gateway to your higher centers and your conscious mind up to the divine. So your volitional attention allows you and makes the equilateral triangle, which is the most stable form in the universe. It's hard to tip over, right? Regardless of what side is on. This is how structure ties in, and it's all just pillar 9 in the 9-pillar framework, common sense. If it's not common sense, then you might want to question if what you're doing is the right thing, eh? Hence, studentsuccesstutor.com and learnwhispering.com. It's the same structure, without the spiritual stuff that makes it more complex, because there's a lot of waffle and vagueness out there. And this is the point with this website, eh? I'm very specific. So vague concepts can mean anything. So here it's defined. So you can tick the boxes with your volitional attention that you've done it, so you know. And as you practice it, and it's no different to playing tennis, knowing how to approach a koala correctly, or how to do an Excel formula at your job, it's the same stuff. It's the structure and it's what works. And therefore you know it's real. No vague stuff, no hypnosis, because that's what vague is. It can mean anything, and your brain will interpret that, especially if you're wanting something, which is all discussed in the cult page and the brainwashing page, eh? Because when you understand the structure, you know what's not going to work, what's misleading, or you can do the structure and get the evidence. because you're applying your volitional attention and noticing those outcomes. This is why it's concrete. This is why it's specific, and that's why I say in this website, 5 years or less to phase 3 abiding awakening, especially if you get into the laws of grace. There's the Mastery Club and there's coaching to support you. All you have to do is install the correct habit. And this is all explained through the website, through the 9-pillar framework, especially pillar 5, your unconscious mind. Because that's the part of you that does most of the work, and it is the majority of you, as well as the gateway to all of you. That's the structure, and it's specific. So that's the overview. Then I will break all of this stuff down through the other pages and the courses so you know how to nail this. And then there's the one-on-one coaching where I'll give you specific feedback that's to assist you. If you want it enough, what are you prepared to do about it? So I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com.